Now, I thought I heard it all when it came to hateful reasons that people come up with when a certain team that they don't like is winning games or winning playoff series, but I don't think I've heard anything crazier than this new trend going around about the Indiana Pacers. People are saying that the Indiana Pacers organization is full of devil worshippers, and Tyrese Haliburton has sold his soul, and that's how the Pacers are seeing all of this playoff success. But I think it's just that we just have to come to terms that as much as people may not like Tyrese Haliburton, as much as people might not like Indiana, the Indiana Pacers are a really damn good ball team, and they've repeatedly proved that all postseason long. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it takes a real man to come out and admit when he was wrong. And I was a person that said the Indiana Pacers, I thought they were going to be going home in the first round of the NBA playoffs. And then I watched Giannis Antetokounmpo. He averaged unreal numbers against the Indiana Pacers, 30 plus points per game, like 14 plus rebounds per game to go along with 6 assists. And with Giannis having a series like that, watching that series, it still didn't look like the Milwaukee Bucks had a chance. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to have to check out the Indiana Pacers for the remainder of this playoffs. And then we seen them knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then we seen them knock off the New York Knicks. And here they are in game 1 of the NBA Finals. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And it looks like the Indiana Pacers, it looked like these boys has finally met their match. And then my little brother is so crazy. We have a group chat with one of my cousins, a couple of our friends. He said if the Indiana Pacers, if they keep this game close, I see them winning game 1. And here comes the fourth quarter. And before we get into that, we look at the first half of this game, and it did look like the Indiana Pacers, okay, they might be outclassed there because they had a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers. I don't know, the last number I heard before halftime went, the Indiana Pacers, they had 14 turnovers in the first half. And one thing Rick Carlisle said, one thing he said to his teammates, and this is good coaching, because that is something to hang your hat on. But he pointed something out. He said, we have all these turnovers in the first half, but they only got 6 points off of these turnovers. So that was something that they could have built on. That was something that kept their confidence in the game. And they get into that fourth quarter, and it's like witnessing these fourth quarter comebacks. It is so crazy. It almost seems like fictional. It almost seems like something out of a book. But just like my little brother said, the Indiana Pacers, they kept this game close. And if they can keep a game close, they're very confident in Tyrese Haliburton, and they're confident in the rest of their team. And we just seen so many timely shots. Andrew Nembhard, his shot is going viral on every single platform. That move he put on his Canadian brethren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to that step back 3, we all made that one face. I think you guys know what face I'm talking about. One of these right here. Oh my God, that's exactly what I said. I said, oh my God, I was watching it on my phone. I had to put my phone down for a second. And because that was like some you see guys working off in the off season. Some you see when you're playing in the rec center. He put a move on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, step back, 3-point shot. It was all net. So it was a great comeback by the Indiana Pacers, and we know what happened. Pascal Siakam on that last play, it looked like he did get fouled, but instead they called out of bounds on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And initially when they made the call, it was the Pacers ball, and I'm watching. I'm thinking, because at first it was no shot clock. It was no shot clock on the clock. So I'm thinking, why aren't the Pacers fouling right now? Then I look down, and there is a shot clock on the clock. So I'm like, if the Oklahoma City Thunder don't score here, they might actually choke and lose. They might actually choke and lose this game. And there we go. We see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get to his bread and butter. One of the best shots, one of the most unstoppable moves in our NBA today is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander mid-range game. He gets a shot that he likes, a shot that I thought was going to go in, and he misses the shot. And then the Pacers get the rebound. They don't call a timeout. They get up the court. They get the ball to their player, who has been tremendous in these situations all postseason long. He was having a quiet game up until this point, but he still wanted that last shot. And Tyrese Haliburton, he knocked it down. He knocked down another big time shot, and that's just been a symbol of what the Pacers have been all season long and all postseason long. They've been so resilient, and there's so many crazy stats that they've cracked open during this playoff run. We saw the crazy stat. It was like 1,000+ games where teams were trailing by whatever it was they were trailing by against the New York Knicks. Teams were 0 in over 1,000 games in those situations, and the Indiana Pacers became the first team to come back and win under them circumstances. They just did that again tonight against last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe the number was 100. Teams were 0 and 192 in NBA Finals games, went down by 9. I want to say it was 3 minutes to 3 minutes to go in a ball game, and they became the first team in NBA Finals history to win under those circumstances. So I think it's safe to say that the Indiana Pacers, they're not in Indiana practicing no witchcraft. Tyrese Haliburton isn't sacrificing his soul. He is sacrificing his time because he's putting in a lot of hard work, and it's very, very obvious. And Tyrese Haliburton, he spoke about it. He said not playing on Team US, not playing that much in Team USA, it was very eye-opening to him. He wanted to come out and prove to himself that he is a very, very good basketball player. And then right before the season ended, he got voted by his peers as the most overrated player in the NBA. So that's extra fuel to the fire. And he's been playing like a player that is extra motivated. And we look past the Indiana Pacers, or we look past Tyrese Haliburton, we look at the rest of the Indiana Pacers. Their depth is tremendous. They just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, who in my opinion as a basketball team, I thought all season long OKC was the best team in the NBA. And before this game, I believe they put up another crazy stat. The Oklahoma City Thunder during the regular season, they were 29-1 against teams in the Eastern Conference, and that one loss came to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like that is crazy. And what the Indiana Pacers did, they showcased their tremendous depth. They won this game with nobody on their team scoring over 19 points. So that just goes to show you how much of a team effort it is. And you look at all these valuable high quality role players that they have. When you look at Miles Turner, who's been here 10 years for the Indiana Pacers, when you look at Aaron Nesmith, who's shooting the 3-ball at an insanely high clip in the playoffs, when you look at Andrew Nembhard, his defense and his big time scoring down the stretch, when you look at TJ McConnell off the bench, you look at Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin came into this game and knocked down 5 3-point shots. So that was big time for the Indiana Pacers, and those 3-point shots that he was hitting, those what kept him in the game, kept the Indiana Pacers in the game when it seemed like the Oklahoma City Thunder were about to run away with it. And then they have Pascal Siakam, who has won an NBA championship before. They have all these valuable guys on the team that they're not role players, but they're not all-stars. They're not all-stars just yet, or they're not all-star caliber players. They're like right in between that. They're really, really good basketball players. So they have the depth, and then the scheme that they run on both the offensive and the defensive side of the ball, it keeps you so honest. And then they play so fast, they play so hard. The full court press that they run, it has to be very, very annoying because they're doing it all game long, and that's just not something we've seen at the NBA level. That's not something we've seen we've seen it before, but we don't see it as frequent and as consistent, as consistent as the Indiana Pacers has been with it. So I think all of these things have been great for the Indiana Pacers. It's been great for the game of basketball. And Adam Silver, he was on an ESPN show, Get Up, and he was talking about how he wants more parity. He wants more parity in his league. He kind of wants it to be like the NFL, where we watch the NFL. It's very rare that we see teams go back to back. It's very rare that we see organizations, win a bunch of championships. And that's what Adam Silver wants. He wants this to be more inclusive. He wants more markets competing, and that's exactly what we're seeing with the Indiana Pacers, because nobody's seen this coming. And I think it's really good. And that was a very, very entertaining game one. But that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. I think it's time for us to finally admit how good the Indiana Pacers are, because they're beating quality teams. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks, they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, they beat the New York Knicks, and now they're up 1-0, still in the game on the road in the NBA Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now you see where I'm at. I'm back in my bedroom, man. This is where Champion Talk first started at. Last week I went through something very, very crazy, where it was probably best for me to pack up my apartment and move back home for a little while, for me to recover from what happened to me. But I'm just so grateful to be able to make these videos and be able to talk to you guys. So if you enjoy, please leave a like, comment down below how you feel about the Indiana Pacers, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.